All right, so we're diving into social studies today.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to say, the sources you sent over are fascinating.
Yeah.
We've got everything from like ancient civilizations to
like
climate change and
like modern economics.
economics.
A lot.
It really does seem like it touches on like
everything.
every part of
being human.
the human experience.
Right.
But before we go too far, I think it'd be good just to like define what is social studies.
Okay, so social studies in a nutshell is it's the study of human society.
Okay.
But it's not just like looking at it from one angle. It's pulling from all these different fields, like history and geography and
like looking at the whole puzzle.
Yes, exactly. Like having all the pieces and trying to put it all together. Yeah,
and speaking of history, you sent over some really cool stuff about early civilization.
I did.
It's like, how does that fit into,
Yeah, so the sources really highlight that history is not just about like memorizing names and dates.
Kings and queens.
Exactly. It's about, understanding how those early societies interacted with their environment, formed governments, traded with each other.
Right.
It's like a microcosm of what we study in social studies today.
Right. And it's all still relevant.
It is, yeah.
Which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
And speaking of like connections and how things are relevant, you included a research paper on the impact of climate change.
Yes.
On migration.
That's right.
So we're talking about geography and current events, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of how geography is not just about maps.
Right.
It's about the relationship between people and their environment and how changes in one impact the other.
Well, and especially climate change, right?
Huge, because
that's causing people to move.
Exactly.
And changing economies.
Absolutely.
Creating new political challenges.
So many things, Yeah. It's really a great example.
Yeah, it makes you realize how interconnected everything is.
Yeah.
And kind of on that note of like, current events and politics.
Yes.
You included an article about voter turnout.
Yes.
In local elections.
Yes.
And that kind of made me think about civics and government and,
Yes, exactly.
So what stood out to you?
That article made me think about this whole idea of informed citizenship.
Right.
It's one thing to like understand how our government works.
Right, in theory.
In theory.
Yeah.
But are people actually engaged? Like, are they using that knowledge?
Are they participating?
Right. And do they feel empowered to participate?
It's like, it's one thing to learn it in school.
Right.
But it's another to like actually apply it to your life. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so then there's economics.
Yes.
Which, a lot of people think it's like numbers. And
boring.
Yeah, boring. But
it's really not.
It's not, no. And you highlighted a podcast.
I did.
That was talking about global trade.
Yes.
And its impact on local economies.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting.
It was a great podcast. Yeah, it was a really good example of how, these global trends actually affect our daily lives. Yeah. And how economics is not just about, numbers. Yeah. It's about choices. Yeah. And consequences. Yeah. And how we fit into this
big web of like production and consumption.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's like social studies gives you this whole set of lenses to like view the world through.
It's like a toolkit for understanding the world.
You see cause and effect, you see connections, you see the ripple effects of decisions like big and small.
Absolutely.
So
we've looked at like what it is, the key components, but what about the skills?
Right, because it's not just about like knowing stuff, right?
Exactly.
It's about what can you do with that knowledge.
Yeah, think about it. When you're studying social studies, you're constantly analyzing information, evaluating different perspectives. You're forming your own conclusions based on the evidence.
So critical thinking, basically.
You've got it.
Yeah, and I feel like
that's so important today.
Oh, especially today.
With
all the information coming at us.
The internet, social media.
Yeah, constantly.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's not just critical thinking, it's problem solving. Yeah. You're looking at these complex issues, trying to understand all the factors, and then thinking about potential solutions.
Yeah, so you can actually do something.
Exactly.
About the problem.
That's about action.
Right.
Not just knowledge.
Right. And then there's like all the other skills too, right?
Of course, yeah.
It's like research.
Communication.
Understanding different cultures.
Yeah.
Becoming informed citizens. It's a lot.
It's a whole package.
Yeah.
So we've looked at what it is. We've looked at the components. We looked at the skills.
Yeah.
So, like, what's the takeaway?
Like, why does this all matter?
Yeah, why does it matter?
I think social studies, it helps us understand our place in the world, appreciate how interconnected everything is.
Right.
And it equips us to be, like, active, informed citizens.
Right. So not just about the past.
Right.
But, like,
using it
to
create a better future.
A better future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that leads to a question for you.
Oh, okay.
Given all the challenges we face as a global society, what role do you think social studies will play in shaping the solutions?
That's a good question.
And what can you, as an individual, do to contribute?
Yeah, what can we all do?
What can we all do?
That's a great question to leave us on.
Yeah, think about it.
I will.
All right, thanks.